And we were getting paid good money, and we were on private airplanes and went on Concorde.
Robbie McIntosh, one of the world's most in-demand session players.
72 singles in the box. It looks like a big box of explosives. So I got the gig with the Pretenders, and we recorded that song, Don't Get Me Wrong. That was another hit. Yeah.
Like, you listened to it and you went, I want to do that.
He eventually joined up with me in the Pretenders, and that was the album Get Close. Pretenders, and then we toured that in '87, and then I left.
They owe you a drink.
One of the sessions I did at that time was with McCartney. People you should listen to. James Jameson, who played on all the Motown stuff, and Paul McCartney. It was one of the funniest tours I've ever been on with those two. We went back in the dressing room. I got to tell this story because it always makes me laugh. And I used to play it with a bit of a stretch. I could play it sounded the same, but I did it with a stretch. And he went, oh no, I play it like this.
You have a guitar here, show me.
Oh, it's a Brian May guitar. Hey. There's this bit, it goes...
1, 2, 3. If I fell in love with you...
Norah Jones, Tom Jones, all the Joneses.
All the Joneses, yeah, I went through them once, yeah.
Robbie McIntosh, one of the world's most in-demand session players. He also has his own band and tours with some of the world's most successful artists, including Paul McCartney, John Mayer, The Pretenders. His session work is unbelievable. Worked with some of the greats of all time, Joe Cocker, Daryl Hall, John Mayer, Mike and the Mechanics, Paul Young, Roger Daltrey, Talk, Norah Jones, Tom Jones, all the Joneses.
All the Joneses, yeah, I went through them once, yeah. Tears for Fears.
Tears for Fears, I love that record, Tears for Fears. So, Robbie, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming and doing it.
Well,
it's like
nice to be here in this wonderful museum of sound.
Yeah, it's an incredible place.
Fantastic, yeah.
It's like nowhere you've ever been.
I didn't have a chance to have a proper look, but it's fantastic. Absolutely amazing.
Well, we'll have you back. You know, this is obviously dopeYEAH Club, and we did the show last night, so that was fun.
That was really good fun. A short rehearsal, but I think it was all, we'd said that it was probably all the better for that, because it had an edge. Yeah. You know, you over-rehearse and sometimes you're just going through the motions. So we weren't doing that last night. We were thinking on our feet, you know.
It was fantastic in the end. The energy was just...
really good.
We were saying it was one of the best shows ever here. I mean, I'm even getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It was like, we just found our mojo, and I think it was just the joy, wasn't it? Everyone was having a fantastic time.
It was great.
And you were amazing. Hamish, Stuart, just rocking
Nobody
out.
poured anything on my head. Just the people behind me. No, it was really good fun. It was really good fun. and Blair, everybody was so great, with your helpful. You know, we didn't have to bring any equipment, and all the equipment we used was all great and working great, and yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, it's always a real joy doing stuff here. It's just they really take care of you. It's, you know.
When we turned up yesterday, when we turned up on, day before yesterday, when we walked in, I thought it was like, oh, this is a rehearsal studio. And then later on I said, so when do we go to the gig? He said, no, this is it, we're in it. You're in it, mate. No, that was good, that was funny.
Yeah, it takes a while for it all to sink in here. As I said, that like the museum, it's hard to kind of describe to people what it's like. Because I mentioned to you, you're going to love it here.
Absolutely.
And like, just trust me, it's going to be great. But it's, you know, even you trying to explain to someone else now what the place is like.
The place is full of guitars and amplifiers and all Hammond organs, and this place is incredible with all these radios and old record players and phonographs and whatever you call them. Fantastic, amazing.
Yeah, the show's a big success, and you know, as I said, bottom line is everybody just had an amazing time. Obviously, kind of part of the whole podcasting is to try and find out a bit more about you and your life and how you've got to where you are and all your trials and tribulations and successes and challenges, etc. So can we kind of go back to the very beginning, you know, sort of you starting out, growing up in, because you're a London boy, aren't you?
South London, yeah.
South London.
Yeah. I was actually born just in Surrey, in a place called Sutton, and I grew up in a place called Morden, which is, if you know the London...
It's on the tube at the end. Yeah.
The bottom station of the Northern Line is Morden. And the Northern Line, before they built the Channel Tunnel, that was the longest tunnel in Europe.
No, I didn't know that.
Because it doesn't come up, goes from Morden to, I think, High Barnet, which is right up in North London. It doesn't come up at all.
Wow.
It's underground all the way. It's a bit of useless information then. Yeah, I was born there, and I had two older sisters who, well, the oldest one was a Beatles fan club member. Went to see the Beatles in 1963, 64 at the Wimbledon Palais.
They were older than you?
Yeah, she's like 10 years older than me. My other sister's like 8 years older than me. So, yeah, I kind of, I just started listening to all their records. So it was the Beatles, and then eventually did things like Jimi Hendrix, Frank Zappa, Steve Miller, and, even blues stuff, Lightning Hopkins, and, she was pretty bohemian, my eldest sister in her music tastes.
Your parents, were they into music? Or?
My dad was into jazz mainly. He loved Ray Charles. And Oscar Peterson was a big favourite of his. Benny Goodman was a big favourite of his. He liked stuff that sort of swung. He didn't like modern jazz so much. Didn't really like bebop. So it was kind of swing stuff.
Did he play a lot around the house?
Huh?
Did he play music around the house a lot?
Yeah. There was always records on, or if you had people around, there would always be some Oscar Peterson on or some whatever.
But your sister was probably the one who was kind of.
I guess so. It was a sort of mix. There's a bit of everything, really. It's all. I think all the music you listen to kind of goes into you as a machine. If you're like a machine, it all goes in and then it all comes out and kind of mixed up, kind of thing. I mean, I loved all the stuff that my dad listened to. Maybe not Oscar Peterson so much because it's a bit more sort of refined, but I loved all the Benny Goodman swingy stuff, proper swing stuff. He didn't like stuff like Glenn Miller so much. Apparently they used to refer to that as long underwear music. So he liked swing. And of course, he had a couple of Django Reinhardt records. A friend of his had some Chet Atkins records. Got into listening to Chet Atkins when I was very young. Yeah, so Beatles, the first record that was actually bought for me was Hard Day's Night, the album.
Wow.
So when that came out.
So who bought that for you?
My parents. It was 32 shillings, which is £1.60, £1.60, something like that.
And was that like a seminal moment? Was that like you listened to it and you went, I want to do that?
I used to mime to it, pretend I was actually playing it. A little microphone stand. And then I probably got my first guitar when I was about 8 or 9 and started playing. That was, my sister had a guitar, and I used to play it all the time, so they bought me one as well. Just a gut string acoustic. I started playing maybe, 8, 9, 10. I can't actually remember when I got the guitar, but so that's when I started playing and just started copying things off, copying things off the records.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. If I fell in love with you, would you promise to be true and help me understand? 'Cause I've been in love before, and I found that love was more than just holding hands. If I give my heart to you, I must be sure from the very start that you will love me more than her. If I trusted you, oh please, don't run and hide if I love you too. Oh please, don't hurt my pride like her, 'cause I couldn't stand the pain, and I would be sad if our new love was in vain. So I hope you see that I I couldn't stand the pain, and I would be sad if found your love was in vain. So I hope you see that I would love to love you, and that she will cry when she learns we are two. If I fell in love with you.
Thank you. And then obviously forming bands. And when did that come? I mean, obviously you're only really young there, but when was the first kind of band you put together?
Well, at school, I did a few sort of performances where I'd play guitar, you know, with some other people, you know, with some of them playing glockenspiel. I'd tell them what to play and stuff like this. Is when I was about 11. You know, and somebody sort of shaking a tambourine and stuff. They didn't really have a clue, but I just told them what to play. So I did that. But then the first proper band I joined, probably when I was about 16, 17, with them, all the guys that I was in the band with had all left school. I stayed on at school to do A-levels and stuff. They'd all left and were working. So I guess I was 17, and we played Who, Humble Pie. We wrote a few things. Song I can't remember our set. A couple of Humble Pie tunes. A couple of Who tunes. I was upset. I was a complete Pete Townsend fan when I was about 16. Still loved the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, but I just wanted to be Pete Townsend. So I don't know him that well. I have met Pete a couple of times. I got a nice email from him because he enjoyed one of my albums. Did an album with Roger Daltrey, of course. So that was the Who, one of the Who connections, you know. Yeah.
Nice guy, pleasant.
Hey, Roger?
Yeah.
He was amazing, actually, because he came in when he did the guide vocals. He sings like that all the time, you know.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. He is Roger Daltrey. There's no tricks or nothing, you know. And he was good enough to sing the songs with us when we were doing the tracks, you know.
And Humble Pie, was that the Frampton sort of era?
Yeah. I wasn't completely into Humble Pie. The other guys were. That's why we did songs. I would probably rather written our own stuff. We did 2 or 3 of our own songs, but it never got recorded. And so that was the first band I was in. So are we doing this chronologically?
Kind of. We can jump around.
Yeah.
There's no set format. But
So I joined a band of a couple of guys that I was at school with who were a few years above me. A band called the Foster Brothers. They had a record deal with Rocket Records, Elton John's label. So I joined them. Didn't last that long. I made one record with them, but I was more of a rhythm player because Graham, who was the leader of the band, was probably a bit older than me and at the time better player. Still is a better player probably. He lives in Spain now. Graham learned a lot from playing with him, and his brother Malcolm was a couple of years older than me. He eventually joined up with me in the Pretenders. So, but before that, after the Foster Brothers split up, I kind of got headhunted, I guess, by a guy called Chris Thompson.
Yeah, Chris.
Chris was the singer in the Man from Man's Earth band. Mm-hmm. And he recruited me into his band, and he had a deal with Planet Records, which is Richard Perry's label. Mm-hmm. So when I was 21, I went to LA with them and recorded and got to play with Nicky Hopkins. Nicky joined the band. Drummer called Rick Marotta, Michael McDonald from the Doobie Brothers, Doobie Brothers then, Bill Payne from Little Feat, another band that I absolutely loved.
Me too.
And there I am working with Bill Payne, 21 years old.
That must have been incredible.
Showing him the chords, because nobody else knew the sort of knew the chords of the songs properly. So there's me showing Bill how the songs go, you know.
That must have been incredibly exciting.
It was incredible, you know, because I loved Little Feat. I had a few Little Feat albums, and
yeah, me too.
here I am working with him.
Well,
And learned
George,
a lot
wasn't it?
playing with some of those guys. Rip Morotta, I learned a lot playing with him. Playing in that, what they call in the pocket. We know that what that expression means. So yeah, I learned a lot working with Rick.
Did you think of staying in LA at the time? Did you think maybe I could live here and just move to America?
Not really. No, I loved it. We were there. I was there for about 4 or 5 months, and no, I loved living in the UK.
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever move.
So
I
that
suppose
must...
maybe I could have fallen in love with somebody, but I didn't. So,
It wasn't the way your life was going to pan out.
No, it wasn't really.
I know what you mean.
Well, we toured after we did the album with. So learned a lot working with Richard Perry, who was, you know, terrifying to work for. Really, I mean, he wasn't nasty, but he got what he wanted. You know,
Demanding.
Yeah, he's the old school producer. You know, almost like an A&R man. Didn't touch the desk. You know, didn't press any knobs or push any faders. He just sat there, and the engineer did. This is old, you know, like in the old days. Producer sat there and said yes, no. Engineer pushed all the buttons and the faders and everything. And the tape op sat by the machine, stopped and starting and dropping in to record, stuff like that. Different era, you know.
But really exciting. Again, I mean, I've said it before. It must have been so exciting being a young 21-year-old going to America.
Yeah, absolutely. I
You're
learned
playing
such
with
a
your
lot.
heroes.
Yeah, learned such a lot. You know, you're like a sponge at that age, aren't you, really?
So what did that lead on to then? That must have led on to lots of new things.
Well, we toured. We supported the Doobie Brothers on an American tour.
Oh, I never knew that. Oh my God! Because I love Michael McDonald. I mean, my God, what amazing voice.
He was fantastic, and every night we'd watch every show because they used to get us on for the encore. Then we'd listen to the music.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that's
so
incredible.
me and Pat Simmons, John McPhee was in the band then. This is and Michael and Keith Knudsen was the drummer. Anyway, yeah, we used to get up and do that. They would all pile on the stage at the end. So that every night, do that. Sometimes used to go on there. They had 2 planes, the Doobie liner and the Crewbie liner. So the one was for the band, and one was for the crew. And we'd sometimes go with the crew. They'd fly us to the next gig. In fact, they used the Doobie line. You know, there's an album called Minute by Minute.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that was #1 when they were touring. The single was What a Fool Believes. That was at #1. I think their album was at #1. And on the cover of Minute by Minute, they're weightless.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. They did that in the Doobie liner because their pilot had flown planes in Vietnam or something, but he knew how to do that zero gravity thing.
Right.
You know, with the plane, they just dive, and you go weightless for 30 seconds or something. So they're all floating about in the plane. You know. I would never have done that. I'm scared of getting on planes as it is, but doing that, no thanks. So the band broke up sometime after that, and where are we? I stayed with Chris after this band was called Night. We were on Planet Records. Stayed with Chris, and he formed another band called Chris Thompson and the Islands.
Sure.
And Malcolm, who'd been in the Foster Brothers with me, Malcolm Foster, he joined the band, and my good mate Wicks joined the band as well. And then we toured for a bit. Then I left. Then I got a call from Jimmy Scott, James Honeyman Scott, as people know him, from the Pretenders, about maybe going and augmenting the band. He wanted to play a bit of piano. He wanted 2 guitars. He wanted to play a bit of piano stuff. He saw the band just sort of the sound of the Pretenders sort of being augmented musically. And then he died.
Oh.
So I thought, well, that's that. And I didn't I didn't follow it up, and then eventually I got a call from the management because of
The Pretenders management.
the Pretenders management, and I think Jimmy had mentioned me to a few people. So they said, "Would you come along and do an audition?" So I went along and did an audition. Martin was playing drums, and Pete Farndon wasn't in the band. He'd gone before that. He was the bass player. And they had a guy called Mick Green, who was in the Pirates, Johnny Kidd and the Pirates. He was there with a guitar just to sort of jolly things along, and a bass player, but I can't remember who it was. And I played for about 20 minutes, and then Chrissy phoned me a couple of days later and said, "Would you join the band?" So that's it. So I got the gig with the Pretenders.
Amazing. And was that like already at the height of the success, or was that earlier? Like, was that before Brass and Pocket or after Brass?
It was always way after that, yeah. The first, I played on they did 2 albums before Jimmy died. Pretenders and the Pretenders 2. And then the first one I did was called Learning to Crawl.
Oh, of course.
That was the first song we recorded was 2,000 Miles, which was a Christmas
hit.
We wanted to put it out that Christmas, and the management of the record company, we finished it probably, I think it was mixed by we recorded it by probably the end of November in 1982. And me and Chris Thomas, this is so good. Chris Thomas loved that record. And so we'd like to put it out Christmas of 82. The record company said no, so we sat on it for a whole year, and it was put out just when the album came out for Christmas 83. Which I reckon would have been number one if it had been released. But there wasn't time. In those days they liked to, do all the promo and stuff. And so it didn't go out. That was the first thing we recorded.
But that was a hit, wasn't it? It was a massive hit.
It was a hit. I think it got to number 15 or something. Or still a great Christmas song. It always comes out at Christmas. It's on one of they do those countdown things, don't they? The 60 best Christmas songs or something. Me and Martin actually did one of those documentaries where we talked about it for a few minutes, the play.
And was Blair in the band with you at the time? Blair Cunningham, was he in the band at the time?
No, that was, Martin was in the band, and then we toured in 84. We toured that album, Learn to Crawl, and then we started recording a few bits and pieces, and Chrissy got very friendly with Jimmy Iovine.
Sure.
And
massive executive at...
yeah.
Where was he at Columbia at the time? I can't remember.
Well, he was at, I guess he was at Warner's.
Was he at Warner's?
I think so. I'm not very good on all that stuff. Anyway, she got, and...
well, just to say for...
And the band, the sound of the band, I think she wanted the sound of the band to change a little bit. Between her and Jimmy. And so Martin went, and Malcolm, the bass player, went, and it just ended up with just me and Chrissy. And we did record one track that's on the next album's called Get Close. I think we did one track with Martin, but that was before Jimmy Iovine got involved.
Was he producing?
Was
Jimmy producing?
He was producing. Another old school producer. Even though he worked as a tape op for, on those John Lennon records, he worked for, who produced John Lennon's records? Phil Ramone? No?
Yeah, well...
No.
Spector.
Phil Spector.
But Jimmy did as well. I heard that story about Jimmy Iovine when he got his break was as a producer he was just an assistant at the studio, and
that's right, yeah.
It was Easter time, and the studio said, "Look, we need you for a session, and you got to come in this week." He said, "Oh, it's Easter, the family's celebrating, all the relatives are coming over." He said, "Nah, well, you can decide if you wanted to come in or not, but we'd really like you to come in." And then he decided, "Yeah, okay, I'll go in, they need me." And that was the John Lennon session.
Oh, right.
And he said if he hadn't have gone in, his whole life might have been different, But he is old. I mean, he went on to become hugely successful.
Very.
Yeah, and also as an executive, because he formed Beats with Dr. Dre, and became a huge £3 billion business. And
he's got a few bob now.
He did U2 as well, and lots of other people, And from Fleetwood Mac, the singer.
He's an old school producer.
Yeah.
He was a bit similar in a way to what I was saying about Richard Perry. in that he could hear if something was going to be. He didn't necessarily know how to get something, but when he heard it, he'd go, right, that's it, you know. So, and Richard Perry was very much like that. And Jimmy didn't do a lot of engineering. You know, he'd just sit there. You know, we're talking about Bob Clearmountain was doing the engineering. And there was another guy called Bruce Lamkoff as well, engineering. So anyway, we went to, we'd started recording. I'm not sure I've got the timing of this right. We started recording with various different drummers. Mel Gaynor came in, played on, I think, I'd have to look at the album and go, right, that was that. Simon Phillips played on 2 or 3 things. And then we got, a film company asked Chrissy to write a song for a movie. The movie was called Gung Ho, Michael Keaton comedy, American comedy. So we were flown to New York to play at Power Station, and we got Steve Jordan on drums. As we made friends with him, Chrissy made friends with him, and we recorded that song "Don't Get Me Wrong," which was another hit. Yeah, we did that in New York. And eventually the album was cobbled together. You know, there's a few different drummers, and we kept one track that we'd done with Martin that Steve Lillywhite produced, and that was the album Get Close, Pretenders. And then we toured that in '87, and then I left.
Why did you leave?
Just had enough of touring. My kids were young, and but just had enough of it, really. So I just went back to doing sessions. That's when I did stuff with Tears for Fears, Paul Young. Before that, when I was in the Pretenders, I'd done that album with Roger Daltrey and various other bits and pieces. Used to do stuff for Clive Langer and Alan Winstanley. Sorry, my stomach's rumbling. I didn't have any breakfast. And just doing a few sessions. One of the sessions I did at that time was with McCartney. So I went and played on some of the Flowers in the Dirt album, and then they asked me to join the band.
Who got you involved with Paul? Where did the call come from?
I think Hamish was already with Paul then. Chrissy recommended me to Linda. Hamish, I knew. But me and Hamish had hooked up when I was with the Pretenders. We'd met in a bar in New York. And there was a connection because the original drummer in the Average White Band was called Robbie McIntosh. Same spelling and everything. Yeah. And Hamish knew of me. And of course, we met and had a drink. So I knew Hamish. Hamish was already playing with Paul. So between Chrissy and him, I'd met Paul and Linda before when I was with Chrissy as well, very briefly. And they got me in to do some sessions. I played on some of the tracks on, what was the album called? I just said it.
Flowers in the Dirt.
Flowers in the Dirt, yeah. And they asked me to join the band, so I did. So I joined in '89. I've got to go backtrack in a minute with somebody you mentioned. When we toured with the Pretenders for the Get Closer album, I've completely missed out. We got Blair Cunningham, who's over here with me, with us.
Sure.
And Blair Cunningham was recommended to me by a bass player called John McKenzie.
I know John.
Yeah,
I knew him.
Yeah, he loved.
That's how I met
John played on Get Close. He played on the tracks with Simon Phillips. He played bass. And we were looking for a drummer, so he suggested Blair. So we went to Woodstock, and that's where the rest of my memory bank's just coming into their own again. And we went to Woodstock and we recorded some of Get Close out there with Blair and a bass player called T.M. Stevens. So that's how Blair got involved. So Blair joined the band and we toured the Get Close album with Blair, and Malcolm came back to play bass and Rupert came back to play keyboards, so on and so forth. So that's how I kind of got Blair in the Pretenders. Then with McCartney, the drummer was a guy called Chris Whitten. After the first tour with McCartney, Chris left. So I suggested Blair. So Blair came along and did an audition, got the gig. So that was why Blair was in McCartney's band with me and Hamish. So Hamish kind of suggested me, and then I suggested Blair. And that's how we ended up all playing with Paul McCartney. And Linda was in the band then, of course. And I got Wicks in as well. Needed a keyboard player. After Flowers in the Dirt had been recorded, Paul needed a keyboard player. And I said, well, this guy's a great player. He gets fantastic sounds. You know, he can get brass sounds and string sounds, blah, blah, blah. And Wicks came in as well. So I kind of got Wicks in and got Blair in as well.
And
Blair was later. Blair came in for the second tour. So
they owe you a drink. They owe you a drink.
No, it's not. I mean, if you pay but all those people that suggested you'd just go back forever, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know?
But it matters, though, doesn't it? It's like it can change people's lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, obviously, you recommend people who are great. You know. So.
Yeah. Well, Wicks had been in the band with Chris Thompson, and we'd stayed very close. We'd get on. He's still, one of my best mates, Wicks. He's still playing with Paul, of course, but
it must have been incredibly exciting again. I mean, you're a Beatles fan, you're a kid, and then you're playing with Paul McCartney. I mean, it must have been.
Yeah.
And what was like the first time you kind of played with him like?
Well, the first session I did, he knew I was, he knew I was a fan. First session I did, I remember talking about Blackbird, because I learned to play it when I was probably 12 or something, taught myself to play it. And there was one bit where it sort of climbs up. I could show you if I had a guitar, but and I used to play it with a bit of a stretch. I could play it; it sounded the same, but I did it with a stretch. And he went, "Oh no, I play it like this." And then of course, I thought, of course, that's the easiest way to play it,
You have a guitar here. Show me.
He got
Is this in tune? Excuse me.
I can tune it up. It's a Brian May guitar.
Exactly.
Hi, Brian. You got this. You got that. There's this bit that goes. I was doing this. I was playing it like that, and of course he'd just go, of course that's how you play it. But I didn't think, because you don't want that note really to, oh, sorry. That's how you play it. Anyway, when we did that unplugged record for MTV,
sure.
What
do you think?
He did Blackbird, but he got me to play it with him. So that was, fantastic. Right. I mean, he could have played it on his own, but he said, no, you people, because it had been one of the first things we'd ever talked about when I worked with him. He said, well, let's play it together. So we did it, 2 acoustic guitars. I don't think if you see the unplugged film, they filmed it for MTV. It's never released or anything as a video, but you can't really... You see me at the beginning, but then it's mainly just Paul. But I was playing, kind of backing him up. Maybe he wanted me to just be there in case he screwed up or something, but not that he ever did. But
because he's a great musician. You know, I don't realise people know how fabulous a musician.
He's the best, one of the best bass players ever. You know, McCartney is without doubt. I would say if you want to be a good bass player, there's two people you should listen to: James Jamerson, who played on all the Motown stuff, and Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because the bass line will change that whole feel of a song. You know that as well as I do. You know, it's arguably the most important thing on a record. You know.
Yeah, I was saying to Blair yesterday, you know, I worked at Abbey Road for 8 years, and we would, you know, sometimes the engineers would take out some of the Beatles tapes, you know, the originals from the safe, you know, and we would have a sneaky listen. And the bass lines are always fantastic.
I know, it's amazing. Great sound.
Yeah.
He's the art, but he's the sort of bass player. It changes the song. It never gets in the way. But if you listen to it, sometimes it can be quite busy. You know, if you listen to something like Something, which is one of George's songs, the bass line is just, it's quite complicated, but it's so perfect for the song, you know. So he's a great guitar player, and, you know, one of the greatest songwriters that's ever lived, or ever, he's still alive, so...
So it must have been an amazing time.
It was fantastic, and he was really nice, and Linda was lovely, and we were getting paid good money, and we were on private airplanes, and went on Concorde, all the...
and you had Hamish and Blair and Wicks in the band, who were your mates.
Yeah,
so
Wicks is mate. We're all still very close. Wicks is still one of my best mates. I didn't see Paul for years, actually, because after I left the band, I'd say I left the band, he kind of laid us off in 1994 when we'd finished the 93 tour. And then Linda got ill, and I did a charity gig with him at the Albert Hall when, you remember, Montserrat blew up, when the volcano blew up, and we did a benefit at the Albert Hall that George Martin put on. But I did that. I was in the house band, you know, so backing everybody, and Paul did it. So that was the last time I actually spoke to him. Then Linda passed away, and then he eventually put another band back together, but he got all American guys. And then the keyboard player that he got jumped ship not long before they were supposed to go on tour, so he got Wicks back in, which is great because Wicks is fantastic, you know.
But it must have been a big shock with Linda passing as well, because you were really good friends with Linda as well.
Yeah, she was lovely, yeah. She's one of the nicest people I've ever known. You know, she was the same. She treated the people that clean the hotels the same as some highfalutin friend of theirs, do you know what I mean? Famous actors or royalty even. She was the same with everybody. She's really, really sweet.
And I had lunch with McCartney talking about this ages ago, and we were talking about cleaners. My cleaner had cancelled on the day of the house, and he's like, oh, it's like, you know, when the cleaner comes around to the house, I have to tidy everything up.
Oh, right,
like Paul McCartney running around tidying the house up for the cleaner.
Yeah.
It was the working class roots just never left, you know, and it's like sort of like...
I'd probably do that.
Yeah, I do it as well.
I tidy the hotel room up before I leave the
so
hotel room. I never
make
leave
the
it
bed.
in a mess.
They laugh at me here, even. It's like, you know, like, well, it's like I leave the apartment like perfect. It's just,
yeah, right.
you know, it's like I was never there.
I hate leaving a hotel room. I just think it reflects on me. You know, that woman comes and cleans the room and go, God, what a slob. So I like to leave it, you know, put stuff in bins.
Yeah, I do as well.
You know, put the stuff in the bins and maybe put the towels somewhere, you know.
It's the working class roots, like, you know, kind of...
I think so.
So
I'd get the Hoover out if I had one.
Yeah, me too. So obviously McCartney lays you guys off. So how did you feel about that? I mean, I know that's part of the nature of the gig and all the rest of it, but kind of, do you feel like you're hoping for the call, or you felt it met a natural end? You felt that's the way it was going to go?
It was a natural end because he wasn't going to he wasn't going to record for a while because they just started doing that Beatles anthology thing. You know, the videos they did. I think that Jeff Mumford directed it. So he was going to spend a year working with that, at least a year. And I think not long after that project was finished, you know, I think it was like a 5 CD set, and they televised it as well, didn't they?
Yes,
I think.
right.
That was when Linda got sick, so he obviously didn't have any plans to work then. So it was a few years before he actually did anything, I think.
So when Linda was sick, I mean, I know it's a personal thing, but it must have been very traumatizing for him. I mean, did you go through that with him? I mean, how was he coping with that at the time? I mean, I've never heard anything about
I didn't know him. I didn't keep in touch with him after the band thing. He was, as I say, he was busy doing that anthology thing, and then Linda got sick, and then it's all very private. But I didn't see him. I played with him at that Montserrat thing. I think that was in 1997. I think, and I think Linda died, or maybe it was no. I haven't got my dates, so I can't Google it either. But that was the last time I saw him until last summer. He played at Glastonbury. The night before he played Glastonbury, he did what they call a pop-up gig. You know what a pop-up gig is? It was just like an unannounced thing for the fan club, basically, in a place called the Cheese and Grain, which in Frome, which is not far from Glastonbury in the West Country. And Wix got me tickets for that. And when we got in, kind of in front of the queue, you know, because I used to be in his band. And Wix said, "Oh, we're going to see Paul." So I went in. Me and Chris Whitten, who was the drummer on the first tour I did with McCartney, we went in and Paul was in there with his wife and a makeup girl, and we just had a 5-minute chat. That was last June. That was the first time I'd seen him in 25 years, I guess.
Wow.
Used to get a Christmas card from him. And he sent when they ever put anything like a compilation that I would have been involved in, you'd always get it sent to you. So there was a set of videos a few years ago that we got sent. You know, there's a little personal note from him saying, "Thought you'd like this," and he sent me this most recent thing he put out, which is a box of all the 45s since the Beatles.
Wow.
To right now, I think there's 72 singles in the box.
Incredible.
It looks like a big box of explosives. It's meant to look like a box of explosives. And I think I'm on probably maybe 6 or 7 of them. My Brave Face is one there, and the subsequent singles. This one, that's on the Dirt. I played on that. So he sent me that.
That's kind of very sweet, isn't it, that he's thoughtful that way? Like, he just...
Yeah.
It means a lot.
Well, I got an email from the office saying, you know, we're doing a mail out. Thought maybe it was some money, but it wasn't. It was this box of singles. So that's the last connection I had with him, was seeing him then and getting this thing. So after '94, I just went back to doing sessions. Session work. I worked with a French-Canadian girl singer called Diane Tell. Came to Prague actually with her. We stayed at the French Embassy, wherever that is. I'd worked with, all sorts of people. Paul Carrack, Joe Cocker.
So who was setting up these sessions for you, generally? Was
Nobody.
it like just word of mouth?
Just word of mouth. I've never had a manager or anything, so... and then I haven't got anything in front of me, but if I look through the list, I could probably see, I did that, and I did that, and I did that. And so I didn't go out on tour at all, hardly at all. I worked with Diane in Canada and a bit in Europe. And then I'd started writing my own stuff. I had a bit of recording equipment at home, so I started recording my own stuff and put an album out in 1999, I think, of my own. Toured in Germany just with my own band, but only for like a couple of weeks at a time. I didn't do any big tour until I got a call from Norah Jones's operation. I did a gig with this guy called Gordon Haskell, and we played in Europe on the same bill as Norah Jones. And they'd seen me play. They needed a guitar player because the guy that had done the records didn't want to tour, a guy called Kevin Bright. So, and they needed to kind of augment, they needed 2 guitar players, basically.
Did Hamish produce Gordon Haskell? Did Hamish produce Gordon
We did
Haskell?
an album with Gordon, yeah.
Yeah.
We toured with me and Hamish and Gordon toured together as a trio. It was one of the funniest tours I've ever been on with those two. I mean, Gordon was crazy, really, really funny. Hamish is really funny. I can be funny at the time, so we were just 3 of us. We were like Morecambe and Wise and Morecambe.
Robbie McIntosh. Night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine on till tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be.
So that was with Norah Jones. So that you ended up working with Norah
I got a call
Jones, yeah.
from Norah Jones. I went to New York, did an audition with him, joined Norah's band, and did a tour. Played on 1 track on with the tour was her album called Feels Like Home. It was her second album.
Oh, it's a big record.
Didn't play on it, but toured it with them. So that was a year. We were 3 months in the Far East. We did 3 months in America. We did 2 months in Europe. Went to South America for nearly a month. Then did a gig in Jamaica. It was a big, I was away for pretty much the whole year. And after that, I still kind of would have been playing with Norah had I not got a call from John Mayer. Because Norah's operation didn't keep me on a retainer or anything. I was just probably assumed that I'd go out on tour again. But I got a call from John Mayer's. John Mayer had been working with a good friend of mine called Pino Palladino.
Sure, bass player.
And Steve Jordan I knew. Of course, I kept in touch with Steve because he played on the Don't Get Me Wrong record, which I've mentioned before. And they suggested me to John. John had a lot of guitar parts on his record that he when he was soloing, he needed somebody else and to play parts, bit of slide guitar, blah, blah, blah. So I got a call for that, so I went out and played with John for on and off for about 4 years, mainly in America.
Brilliant.
He doesn't come to Europe that much. Played at Wembley and played at Hammersmith, Apollo.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was great playing with John. John's one of the most generous people I've ever worked with. He's very much into his own thing, but he's totally unselfish.
He gave you a watch, if I remember, didn't he?
I'm wearing it now. He goes to Rolex, yeah.
Fantastic.
It's got JM on the back there. But it says on the face, it says John Mayer Musical Sound, but it's a little faint. So it's a Rolex Submariner. It's the James Bond watch, isn't it?
Fantastic. That's a nice touch.
And the trumpet player in the band, he gave the trumpet player and the sax player Submariners, which are slightly not Submariners, Sea Dwellers. You know what Sea Dwellers?
Yeah.
Similar to what Sea Dwellers got a little valve on it. So, and we went back in the dressing room. I got to tell this story because it always makes me laugh. The trumpet player's a British guy, lovely guy, great trumpet player. He said, "God, that's a really good watch. I'm going to have to look after it." He said, I wouldn't wear it down the beach or anything like that. I said, "What are you talking about? It's a diver's watch." And he said, "Well, it might get sand in it and stuff." Well, I said, "You just rinse it under the tap. It's a diver's watch. It's, it's waterproof to like 1,000 metres or something." I just thought it was really fun. I wouldn't wear it down the beach. What do you think it is? Anyway, yeah, we got that. So I was with John for about 4 years. Then I got laid off again in 2010. Went back doing a few sessions, toured a little bit with Sinéad O'Connor, which was a bit on-off, with Sinéad.
And how is she? Because her mental state is not always kind of...
No, well, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. She was actually very nice to me. She was lovely. She was really good to the band members. And then after Norah, I joined Tom Jones's band for a couple of years. Another Jones. I was so bored. I used to have to go to Luton Airport, and then we would do like 3 or 4 gigs in Europe, fly back to Luton, then I'd have to get a car to take me all the way back to the south coast where I live in Weymouth. So I spent a lot of time in the back of a taxi, and on a trip back from Luton to Weymouth, I'd listed as many people called Jones that I could had been in the music industry, because I thought, well, there's Norah Jones, there's Jack Jones, Tom Jones. There's about 32 people. There's two drummers, Philly Joe Jones and Elvin Jones. There's Ricky Lee Jones. I've got them on my phone.
Did you work with Ricky?
I could get my phone, I could read them all out. There's John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. There's 2 Mick Jones. One was in The Clash and the other one was in a group called Spooky Tooth and then Foreigner. They're both called Mick Jones.
That's right.
Jack Jones, Howard Jones. Remember him?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wish I didn't remember him. I worked with him. I had a couple of sessions with Howard, actually.
Did you ever work with Ricky Lee Jones?
No. So I got this huge list of all these people called Jones. I just thought it was... And there are a lot. I suppose probably quite a lot of Smiths, I would have thought, as well. But Jones seems a really common one. Norah Jones, Jack Jones, Tom Jones, Ricky Lee Jones, John Paul Jones. Well, there's 5 already. I wish I had my phone. I could read them all out to you.
So what was that like working with Tom Jones? I mean, he's a character.
Fantastic, yeah. I mean, stories to
well, he used to hang out with Elvis, didn't he? So.
Yeah, I mean, he's just got, Elvis come and watched him having a shower. He was having a shower in his hotel room and looked around as Elvis was standing in the bathroom. Yeah, he's got great stories. Tom's got great stories. Tom just sings. So you don't ever talk any business with Tom. He doesn't write the set list. His son, Mark, writes the set list out, gives it to him, says, "These are the songs you're singing tonight." All right. And he just gets out and sings. And then he goes, he used to, he was famous for staying up late with the band. He couldn't go to bed. I know a lot of people that worked with him when he was, 4 o'clock in the morning. You go, "I'm going to bed." "Where are you going?" But he'd stop drinking. When I worked with him, he'd stop drinking. So it was just, he'd still stay up late, but drinking coffee and smoking a cigar, I think. Lovely guy, lovely man. Absolutely.
He sounds like a
real
lot of fun.
gent. The first time I met him was in his hotel room at the Savoy, because we had to do a TV show and we had to rehearse, but there was no drums, it was just guitar, Wurlitzer, and Tom singing. So we went to his hotel room at the Savoy in London and went and rehearsed in his hotel room, which was pretty weird. I think that was the first time I met him.
So who put you up for that show? That gig, should I
The
say?
Tom,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got a call. Gary Wallace, I think, who was the Tom's MD. I think I knew Gary, worked with Gary, and he just said, would you come and do this TV thing? And then eventually I joined the band and started touring with him. Yeah, Gary, I think. Gary Wallace is his drummer and his MD. Do you know Gary?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah, so it was Gary, I think. And that was great. And then I just got a bit tired of going up and down to Luton Airport all the time. And I didn't want to go to America, so I passed the gig on to somebody else. That was the last kind of big touring thing I did. I worked with, I do a fair bit of work with Mark Knopfler, doing promo, and played on his last album, although you can't really hear me. I played on a couple of tracks. And through that, I got to know the bass player from Dire Straits, John Elsley. So I play with John now and again. We do some Dire Straits stuff and we do some of John's stuff, but it's not Dire Straits tribute band, because John actually was in Dire Straits, you know.
Sure.
So there's that. So I have to put my Mark Knopfler hat on now and again. Do Sultans of Swing and Brothers in Arms and stuff like that. I also played on a record which I'd like to mention because I really like it. It's a project called Held by Trees. It's an instrumental thing, and I'm on it because I played with Talk Talk, and this guy's a huge Talk Talk fan, this guy called David Joseph. And he put this record together with various Tim Rennicks playing guitar on it. I played guitar on some of it. And when he put the record out, Held by Trees it's called, the album's called Solace. And because I played on it, he asked me if I'd do some gigs with him. So the drummer in my band, Paul Beavis, does it. I do it, and there's a sax, well, a guy plays woodwinds, actually, saxophone, flute, clarinet. Piano player, David plays like more of a kind of rhythm guitar, and a bass player. And we've been doing a few gigs. It's a lovely record, actually. It's kind of, it's in the Talk style. You know?
They're quite eclectic though, aren't they? Because one of the other albums that you played on was Spirit of Eden.
Spirit of Eden.
I love that record.
Yeah, it's a great record.
I mean, it's Mark Feldman on harmonica.
Mark Feldman, we're still very close with Mark.
I love Mark.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
And, I did a session when I was producing Bernie Marsden's record a few years back, and I'd known Mark at the time, and he's such an unassuming character, and he came into the studio, and he hadn't even heard the track, and he said, "Oh, Rob, he's a geezer, isn't he? He's wearing this chromy coat, and all. He looked great." And he's just standing very quietly, just about a couple of feet from the microphone with his harmonica. He said, just play the track for me, Rob, just play the track. So I played the track once, and he said, "Yeah, I'm ready." I said, "Do you not want to hear it another time?" He said, No, I'm ready."
Right.
And then I played the track, and he just like dived in on the mic, with the harmony. I was just like, whoa, everybody in the studio kind of went back.
When I put that album out in 1999, my first solo album, which is called Emotional Bends, my band was me, obviously, Mark Feltham on harmonica. We had a pedal steel player called Melvin Duffy, Pino Palladino on bass, and Paul Beavis, who's still in my band now, on drums.
Wow.
That was the band. That was the lineup.
God.
So no keyboards. The pedal steel kind of
filled it in.
He provided that sort of harmonic bed for a lot of the stuff. And it was a great band, really good. That was my first album, Emotional Bends. And then Pino went off to work with D'Angelo, so he didn't stay in the band. But he's still a really good friend. Now, he's a great bass player as well.
Yeah,
Pino.
he's done some work.
He is, but to me, he's like the best bass player in the world, maybe alongside McCartney.
Yeah, he's played on everything as well, hasn't he?
Pino's amazing. He'll change your record.
I always remember
so classy.
The first record I heard him on that I thought was brilliant was Paul Young.
Paul Young. We played Fretless.
Wherever I Lay My Hat, the Fretless on that.
Yeah, well, he kind of had to not stop playing Fretless, but you can get tired with a brush sometimes, can't you? And he doesn't play much fretless anymore. He just plays a precision, but he's still fantastic. I mean, to me, he's the best. He is the best, you know.
Yeah, he's amazing. Well, yeah.
Anyway, I put going back to my solo output. I did that album, another album called A Widescreen. Then after that, that's when I joined Norah, and then John Mayer. So I didn't put any more records out until 2013. I got a solo acoustic record that I put out before Emotional Bends called Unsung, which Douglas Adams, my friend Douglas Adams, who's a writer, wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He was a good friend of mine, and he persuaded me to put this acoustic album out. And then, 2013, I put out a thing called Turn Up for the Books. And then I put an album out a couple of years ago called SeaWorld. And then I put another one out last Christmas, not last Christmas, the Christmas before, but there's only a download because I did that for the cancer charity that helped, cancer people that helped me with my illness. I wasn't very well a couple of years ago, but I'm all right now, I think. So that's that, really. I mean, John Elsley and Held by Trees, they're what I do at the moment. I have a bit of a lull creatively. I haven't written anything for a while. Got a few ideas that I should finish off.
But you found the touring a strain, the long tours. I mean, it is. I don't think people can understand how you think it's amazing, but it's really exhausting, isn't it? When you go
it is exhausting. Yeah, it is exhausting.
And missing
it's
family,
great.
and
it's great fun. I mean, I love coming to. This has been great, doing this couple of days out here. Nice hotel, getting treated really well by nice people. That's great. But I do, you miss home eventually.
Yeah, if you're out on the road for 18 months.
Got the dogs, got the 2 dogs. I mean, all my kids are grown up now, but we still see a lot of them, but they're not at home. It's just me and my wife and the dogs and
Well, it's funny, I saw the magic of you guys, like yourself and Blair, Cunningham and Hamish, Stuart last night, just playing together. It was just joyous.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was so amazing. And, doing some of your stuff, and then Hamish's stuff, and just when the band was in the pocket, it was just magic.
You could see us all looking at each other laughing and
I'm getting goosebumps just even thinking about it, and just to be a small part of it was absolutely amazing. And then we're working with, obviously we had a young singer, Lusaint, who's
she was great,
up and coming singer, and then it's it kind of reminds me, she's early days yet, but she wants you on the next record. She's going to have her own deal soon. She's going to be a big star.
That's how things
and they said, will you come and play on my record? And that's kind of what happens, isn't it? People hear you. It's all in the
that's how that happens. I mean, I met her. We know her through you because we work with Myro. So. That's how it happens, isn't it? And then you know her, and then we met her, and we'll play, and you'll be involved probably, and it's what they call it. They call it networking, don't they? But that's actually a horrible expression because it sounds like you've got, you deliberately go out to find work. You don't. It just happens.
Yeah, but I remember someone saying to me earlier in my career that what the 3 most important ways to be successful in the music business, and it was relationships, relationships, and relationships.
Yeah. There's nothing preconceived either. If you go, you just meet people, and.
But I think there's more to it than that, in the sense that, it's psychologically, it's quite complex. So saying this to Hamish, because obviously you've worked with some of the greats, of all time, and I think. It's fair to say your face has to fit. So you have to be able to kind of, on so many levels, work in their environment and make it work. Not only as a player, but as a person, and how you rub along. And if you're not emotionally intelligent, it's probably not going to last very long.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's you're being. There's no point in being stubborn as a musician. You never get on unless you just want to do your own thing and make your own records. When you're working as a musician, you work with other people. It's a lot of compromise involved. you might play something and somebody will say, well, it's a bit too busy. Can you make it simpler? And they're paying you the money, so why not? And you get on. So it's a personal thing as well.
Yeah, I remember talking to Giles Martin about you, and because he loves you, and obviously you knew George Martin as well.
Yeah.
But and worked with him. But Giles just said to me like you're his favourite guitar player.
Oh, really?
And he loves working with you. And then he brought you in like to do the Elton
John film. Yeah, I did
the Elton
that,
John
yeah.
film. You did all the guitars on that, didn't you?
Most of them, yeah. There's a few bits, a couple of bits I didn't do, but I didn't do Don't Go Breaking My Heart. That's not me. But a lot of stuff, yeah, that was with Giles. He's a good guy.
I think that whole thing about being a session guitar player is like, you just have to be that safe pair of hands. Like for me as a producer, it's like anyone I ever bring in, I'm lucky now that I know so many great players, but there are a few like I would, if you're available, I would always use you just because I know that's sorted. I won't have to worry about that now.
Yeah.
I can get on to this other bit, and it's surrounding yourself with fabulously talented people, and then it just makes you look good.
Yeah.
For me as a producer.
I mean, it's a fantastic. It's a fantastic way to make a living. To somebody to phone you up and you go into a studio and try and help them. Try and get what they want. And maybe suggest a few ideas of your own, blah, blah, blah. It's fantastic. I mean, I love recording in the studio with a band. Nothing like recording a song and then going and listening to it. It's like doing a gig, but you get to listen to it afterwards, with, and everything's beautifully recorded and everything. That's probably the most fun thing about in this industry is recording in studio.
So what's for the next few months? What have you got planned? What's kind of on the agenda? Anything?
Oh, I've got just bits and pieces. I've got a couple of gigs with the Held by Trees people. I'm doing a pub gig next Monday, doing covers with a girl singer called Hannah Robinson. That's with the keyboard player, but I work with Steve Smith. That's in a pub. There's a couple of Held by Trees gigs coming up. There's a couple of gigs with John Ilsley coming up. I won't be going on tour or anything, but I didn't think I'd have any work. January's been really busy.
Yeah, this is what happens. Yeah.
In the middle of December, there was nothing, and then suddenly it just all filled up. At the moment, there's not a lot in February, but I'm sure eventually things will come along, yeah.
Well, I mean, here now, hopefully we'll come back out here and do some more stuff.
I'd love to. I love it.
Fun tour.
I think Prague's probably my favourite city in the world.
Yeah, it's always just
in
fallen in love
Europe,
with it.
I mean, I love New York and I love London actually because that's where I'm from. But I love it here. People are so nice, and they've got such a great history. And we came out just before Christmas. Those Christmas markets and everything, fantastic.
Yeah, on the Miro tour.
Brilliant. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah,
really lovely,
I'm very
really
grateful to
lovely
be out here so much as well. It's like a second home to me now, and I love just walking around the city. It's just beautiful, and people are great here.
People are really nice, and people are really good at speaking English. I think out of anywhere in Europe, this is the best. And I know that sounds lazy because British people are renowned for not bothering to learn other. I can speak a bit of German, I can speak a bit of French, but Czech is pretty tricky, I think.
It is a tricky language. I make mistakes all the time, so I have to be very careful.
Yeah.
I could be saying anything.
I know. Yeah, Slavic language is I came out here with Diane Tell, and the translator that was with us, he spoke about 7 languages. He was from here, but he spoke French and he spoke Japanese and really good English. And he said that in the Czech language, there's 7 different ways you could say a table, because they have these things called declensions. Does that make any sense to you?
I have no idea what that is, but...
Well, I presume there's a different word for table or a different way of saying it depending on what you're doing with it, whether you're looking at it, sitting at it, or used to be sitting at it. You know what I mean? There's all these different. Yeah, I don't know if that makes
too
any
much
sense
for my little brain to work
sorry, I
out.
keep rubbing the microphone.
Robbie,
yeah.
I think we're done.
Yeah,
I mean,
fantastic.
it's like
I've
it's been
probably missed
amazing.
a load out. I've probably missed
I can talk
loads
to you
out.
all day, but you've got to catch a plane. I got to go to Bratislava. But it's been the last few days have just been amazing for me.
It's been fantastic.
You know, to kind of hang with you chaps again, and it's always such a joy and a privilege. You know, and for me as a music fan, you know, it's yeah.
Well, you were great last night. You sung great last night.
Oh, thanks,
you were
man.
part. You were part. You know, just as much of a part of it as we were.
Well, those moments are like pinch yourself moments. Even last night, there was time, like you said, when you were all smiling at each other and we're kind of.
That's right.
And, you know, and Hamish really getting into it. He really found his mojo.
Yeah.
And you did as well. And Blair just dug in. And it was just, it all sort of came together. And, you know, it's that kind of crescendo of emotion.
It was a really good night, and what a great place to play. I don't think I've ever played a place like that.
I know, it's very unique here. As you said, it's this extraordinary
We were in a
building.
pit. Basically, we were playing in a pit. in
Pit. I think it was.
wonderful.
I think what I was saying was like when I looked around me, like with you guys last night, and you were off the stools. Hamish was wandering around with the guitar, laughing and smiling, and Blair was digging in, and the keyboard player, you know, Czech chap was just. Everybody was just elated and amplified emotionally.
You know what was great? One other thing I ought to mention that was great about it is normally when you rehearse with a band, you sit in a circle and you face each other. And everything sounds great. You get on a stage and you're all facing that way. You're all looking out. And so everybody's, you know,
True.
but to actually do a gig like that in that rehearsal situation where we're facing each other. You know, I'm facing Blair and Hamish, keyboard player's right next to me, you're here, or when you were playing tambourine, you were here. And Lasagne, you know, when she was singing, she was right and standing in front of me and everything. It was fantastic because didn't have that thing where you've got to perform. We were all in a little group, and it's fantastic. Really fantastic.
How I've always seen that is that, you know, like when you're on stage with people, you know, the process is like you play for each other first, and then you play for the audience. In a way, you're gelling as a unit, and that intimacy and emotional connection, and then that translates to the audience.
We were doing both. We were playing to each other last night and to the audience.
And that's the perfect blend, isn't it?
It was brilliant. It was really, really good fun.
Yeah, I think that's something to be said for that. You're right, that kind of like we're all facing each other.
You never do a gig, like, you hardly ever get a chance to do a gig like in the way you rehearsed it. Because, you know, you rehearse, you can hear each other, and then you get on the stage and you can't hear the bass player because he's on the other side of the stage. Whereas I had the bass player right in front of me, which is, but you know, I was looking at him, and that was fantastic.
Yeah, there was just those moments last night where, you know, I sent to my wife this morning. I said where it was quite emotional in the sense that it makes everything make sense. Your whole life, your music life. It's a crescendo of kind of like, this is what I was supposed to do. This is why I do it.
Absolutely.
I'm with my friends, the people I really like and love and respect. And it's like, and it's, you know, I said, how lucky, you know, we are to do this, you know what I mean? To just get those moments.
Absolutely.
No money in the world can be paid for that kind of experience.
No, I know. It's fantastic. You know, and everybody's so nice. You know, I didn't bring any of my equipment. But Honza, the guitar player, he just says you can use whatever you want. I've got my pedal board there, and you can have whatever guitars you want to play. They're all at your disposal. What a lovely guy. And he's, you know, a really talented player himself. You know, we watched him last night.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
So he's so kind, you know, so welcoming.
Well, the owner of the venue, Peter Schemmele, I spoke to him afterwards. He said, like, you got to get back over and do another one, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, I said, cool, we'll look at the guys' schedules and we'll see what we can sort out and maybe do a few more gigs around the country, you know, go to Brno, maybe doing 3 or 4 little nice spots and have fun. That's the other thing, isn't it? It's supposed to be fun.
It was really good fun.
And last night was fun.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Robbie, thank you so much for this.
You're welcome.
It was incredible, man. And I'll see you soon.
Yeah.